Author, creator, writer, director, no, maybe not that, but just about everything else there is to do with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling is that, the mother of everything when it comes to the wizarding world. Yet so many out there despise her for her modern takes on what is going on in a postmodern world. And it has reached such a crescendo that Miss Rowling is facing threats of jail time just for saying what she thinks is true. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel where we tackle the tricky, tough topics of the day whenever they come our way and spill into entertainment and entertainment news coverage. Today that is exactly what we are doing with J.K. Rowling and the situation she faces with the Scottish government. A new law passed that silences Miss Rowling except she refuses to be silenced. Folks, we've got an incredible panel. We're going to bring them on right now and show you what we know when it comes to J.K. Rowling and what might happen ahead. Here we go, moving right along. Josh Berger, the author here on Bounding into Comics. J.K. Rowling defies Scottish authorities as new hate crime and public order act is enforced. I look forward to being arrested, says the author of the Harry Potter stories, those which have taught and informed so many, and yet so many also likewise hate her for her views. It's amazing. All right. Harry Potter scribe J.K. Rowling takes to social media to defy Scottish authorities as strict hate crime and public order act is enforced, declaring that she looks forward to being arrested when she returns to the country. Also, folks, needs to be said that despite the fact that so many want you to believe that she is so hated, it's somewhat odd that Hogwarts Legacy did so well and she worked on that game and helped with it. And now she's being brought back by Warner Brothers, by David Zaslav, to make sure that the next streaming reboot, right, getting rid of those now adult stars who still act like children sometimes, she will be dealing with making sure that show's great.
What kind
officially titled the Hate Crime and Public Order of Scotland Act 2021. This particular law was first passed by the Scottish Parliament on the 11th of March 2021, receiving royal assent on the 23rd of April that year and enforced on Monday the 1st of April 2024. Per the document, the act is enforced to make provision about the aggravation of offenses by prejudice, to make provision about an offense of racially aggravated harassment, to make provision about offenses related to stirring up hatred against a group of persons, to abolish the common law of office of blasphemy, and for connected purposes. Also, folks, if ever there is a law that makes blasphemy a problem, you probably have a problem with where you are. Blasphemy is a little dangerous for the government to start wielding.
What a law to pass on April 1st, by the way.
Yes, and anywho, folks, this one has the opportunity, if you're found guilty of imprisonment for a term not exceeding 7 years, or a fine, or both. The Harry Potter scribe has been very vocal about her discontent with a particular brand of ideology, accusing on several occasions that this particular movement seeks to erase women. Criticism that could end up falling into categories protected by the new law. So there you have it. There's what J.K. Rowling thinks of it. She says that the act going into effect today, women gain no additional protections, of course, but she goes on to criticize it and give her thoughts on it. Thoughts are her own. She continues to provide. Folks, you can go read these on Bounding into Comics. Given where we are, we shall be careful. Nevertheless, we believe in ultimate truth with a capital T. But J.K. Rowling out there taking a stance, and it actually could have implications. And frankly, if she is held accountable by Scotland for telling the truth as she sees it, I think that would set off an absolute firestorm of response from so many from across the globe. I think the culture war at that point would enter a new phase. Panel, what say you?
Well, first of all, the reason this is happening is because she actually lives in Scotland. And therefore, I presume, she pays taxes in Scotland. Let's remember, lots of British people over the years, movie stars, directors, have moved to Switzerland, to Monaco, to America, to avoid high rates of taxation in Britain. So if this goes through and they try to arrest her and she fights it off, what do you want to bet she takes herself, her income, her taxes, and everything else out of Scotland? Won't that be swell? Secondly, I don't know how many of you saw the story over the weekend. There was a protest by these pro-Hamas people in London, and they were carrying a famous symbol that I guess per the list of words we're not supposed to say, I cannot mention. But the one that sort of looks like a backward shuriken, and a lady in the crowd.
We can't say that word.
Right. Okay.
Lou, what we say there, just to give you an introduction to YouTube culture,
Yes.
there's a particular game that's very fun to play called Yahtzee.
Oh, okay. Well, they were actually, it was the symbol was the issue. And a woman who was against this group of people supporting terror protested against them using that symbol, saying, a few years ago, that symbol was trying to wipe out the entire British Isles. And a London bobby went to the lady and told her she should stop complaining about that symbol, and that symbol was all about being in context.
I can't imagine unless the context is Wolfenstein 3D. I am not okay with that symbol.
I'm just a cop, told the woman to shut up about that because it's about context. So all I'm trying to say is, guys, if you think this whole DEI, ESG, MOUSE stuff is crazy here, the British Isles, which includes Scotland, are nuts. And Scotland used to be more conservative, more religious, more old-fashioned, if you will. Well, look at their blasphemy was a law in the books, apparently. And now I guess they're trying really, really hard to go the other way really, really fast.
Lou, Scotland is like the birthplace of the freedom of speech movement back from the 1600s and 1700s. It's where we all yell freedom from. This is, it's bonkers to me that Scotland has shifted in this way. I think it's absolutely a crying shame.
And by the way,
shame for this.
You do know the official or semi-official nickname of the Black Watch, the most feared Scottish army regiment in the history of Scotland. Do you know what they're called? Because they wear kilts? The Ladies from Hell. They are actually called that, the Ladies from Hell. So I guess you can't say Ladies from Hell anymore either in Scotland.
Apparently not. Vash, any thoughts on what's going on with J.K. Rowling, or it's spicy. Careful as you wade into this.
Oh yeah, that's for absolutely sure, right? Look, she's very opinionated, and it seems like she's not necessarily going to stop right here, and I don't think she should. I mean, the fact that we have these kind of laws in 2024 and some of these, what are supposed to be these liberal democracies, it's really kind of a surprising move right here. And it's interesting because, I don't know, somebody maybe north of the border when it comes to the United States was talking about this at some point some years ago and saying, hey, look, if the logical conclusion, if you create these protected classes, is that, well, now you can necessarily enforce these laws that protect some people, and how will that be inferred? How will that be taken? I guess is the big issue here, and well, this is kind of the next logical step, right? It's kind of a fascinating thing in our culture. It's interesting that we don't necessarily see it here, but we do see it in these other countries. Remember, some years ago, somebody in Canada actually was arrested and or at least fined for telling jokes on stage and kind of a comedy event. And this stuff is happening for sure.
Vash, when you talk about laws that protect certain people or groups of people, what are they being protected from? Is it from violence? Is it from arson? Is it from something physically or financially? They're being presented from having their feelings hurt.
Right.
Right.
Where does it say thou shalt not have thy feelings hurt in any code of law that makes any sense?
Right. If thou shalt not offend, the problem there is then you can't say anything of meaning. And if you can't say anything of meaning, then free discourse is gone. And if free discourse is gone, then the antiseptic that prevents societies from going into totalitarian and authoritarian and dystopian futures is out the door. And you don't want that, because hell awaits. Now, speaking to that effect, Elon Musk, one of the reasons that he says he was willing to weigh into politics, into ideologies and philosophies, and not just be Rocket Man, is because he has identified that wokeism is an existential threat. And then on top of that, you've got J.K. Rowling apparently agreeing to this to the degree that she is willing to go to jail over it. But you also have the, in my opinion, one of the he should have his head on the Mount Rushmore of video games. You've got Mark Kern, also known as Grums, who he believes that Elon Musk is correct, and now he's waging this in the gaming space, right? Grums was on with Valiant Renegade yesterday, and we don't know when, we don't know how, but we do believe we're going to have Grums on the channel in the future. We're working on the scheduling right now, folks, but Culture, do you think that this is an existential threat, and that's why folks like J.K. Rowling are willing to take this risk?
Well, of course it is. Look, the reason that you have the First Amendment is so that you will never be under the boot heel of tyranny. You can speak out against it, in whatever form or fashion that it shows up, because it can show up in a lot of different ways. And when you start to protect certain people, you're basically removing protections from others. It's one of the things that we always have to draw such a fine line with. It's something that Lou said in a different way. But that's a fundamental right, your ability to speak truth to power and to say what's on your mind. You certainly need it in press rather than the single-mindedness of what we have as the mainstream. But I'll say it, when your speech is under attack, that's when you need to pay attention. Consider this. Back when we had the little mustache guy in Germany for the second biggest, war that we've ever had in our history, that we're at least in the modern era. Back when that little fella was going to work, he decided that, we need to get rid of comedians. Because
that's a great point.
Comedians had the ability to, call things out in an amusing way and make a point. You can make a point without, saying something directly, and you can use anecdotes and stories and things to convey that point. I think
when they come after the jesters, Culture, when they go after the jesters, it's about,
and that's the point. Tyrants, monsters of the past, still had court jesters because they realized that they leavened the bread a little bit. But now, oh no,
right?
Even Jabba the Hutt. Even Jabba the Hutt had a jester.
What's the name of the little jester? What's the name of that
Salacious Crumb.
That's right.
Yeah. There's one thing that I've really wanted to point out here, just to go back to my recurring theme about all these people, is they like to redefine words. So in this case, if we go back to 2020, that hostility, physical acts of hostility were just freedom of speech, but speech was violence. We obviously have that reversed. In America, we have the First Amendment and we have the Second Amendment, and the first is absolutely important and more important than the second, but we have the second in order to protect the first. And I have to think that while England is a lovely place in many ways, we don't have the same problem over here.
So, right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why we've got to fight like hell, metaphorically, folks, not telling you to do any kind of violence at all.
And I prefer hold the line for that reason.
Consider
how far we've come.
Folks, we've come to the end yet again, but we are so certainly thankful that you were here with us. And I want to give you an update, folks. Since this original conversation aired, it has come out that J.K. Rowling will not be facing charges for this, but charges for others who might parrot what she thinks. That's no guarantee either way. We're not sure how this is going to play out, but people like J.K. Rowling and others, when they espouse a desire for free speech and free discourse, perhaps that's worth paying attention to and even supporting. Folks, you can help support us by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. We here support your free expressions. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.